He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
This is the Consumer Quarterback Show with Brandon Rhymes. Brandon is out today, but he has left me, the producer of the show, James DeJerome, in charge, and I promised him I would provide the same great program we have to all the consumers in the Bay Area. Brandon set the show up years ago. He's been doing the show for 7 years, and initially, Brandon, as a realtor and owner of the Platinum MVP team, was constantly involved in home-related business. He had to have a solar guy, a roofing guy, a plumber, an air conditioner, someone who could clean a house, someone who could move furniture, the kind of people around real estate transactions that he worked with all the time. After a while, he thought, why can't I bring my network to the people of Tampa Bay? All the consumers out there in the Bay Area would love to have these connections and the kind of knowledge that I've gained over the years from working with these professionals. So he built a team called the Consumer Quarterback Show. We've grouped like-minded business professionals come together to provide information and make your dollar go farther in the marketplace. Over the years, it's gone from home services to all manner of lawyers, doctors, healthcare. We're into all different fields, and the idea, again, is that we're going to provide that information to you as consumers. So that's how our team was formulated. In addition to our team, we have great sponsorship. Brandon's gone out and found great sponsors for the program. We've just brought Jade's Premium Quality Cleaning on board. Jade's is a family-owned business right here in the local economy, right here in the Bay Area. She's involved, of course, with Brandon. All the real estate transactions he's involved in that require house cleaning. Jade's on it. Jade, what a professional she is. If you're looking for a professional cleaning company holding COVID-19 certification and that uses only eco-friendly products, that's it. Again, we talked about local, family-owned, supporting the economy right here in the Bay Area. Check them out at www.Jade's Premium Quality Cleaning. You can check out their reviews. And again, great cleaning service and one that we recommend clearly as the Consumer Quarterback Show's sponsor for the cleaning expert in that field right now. We also have a group of properties. Brandon owns the Platinum MVP team. He has real estate even in this time of scarcity in the Bay Area, and Johnny's going to throw up a couple of properties for us right now. The Platinum MVP team has your real estate needs covered, and again, we're looking for 1314 Alternate Highway 19 in Holiday, 2,678 square feet. It's a commercial building. It's a 40-year-old daycare, a huge double lot. So the Platinum MVP team has residential and commercial real estate opportunities available for you. 1314 Alternate Highway 19 in Holiday, 2,678 square feet. Check them out online at Platinum MVP Team, Keller Williams. Again, Brandon has great properties for you. Here's another one, 2528 Appaloosa Trail in Palm Harbor, 2,278 square feet. It's a three-car garage. The roof is only 3 years old. New AC. The interior has been gutted. It's got a pool, screened area, really sharp. 2528 Appaloosa Trail in Palm Harbor. Get in touch with Brandon and the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. Again, even in this time of real estate scarcity, they've got everything you need. Okay, so we talked about our sponsors and we talked about our team members. Our expert in the insurance field, Doug Levi, has been coming on the air with us for a couple of years now, a friend of the program, and I want to bring him on. Doug, we look forward to having you on the air. I don't know much about the insurance business. I kind of rely on you for that. Tell us what's been going on in the insurance sector.
Yeah, James, always great to be here, and welcome to all the listeners. So it seems like every week I'm on, there's another storm, right? And even though we're at the end of October, you've got Tropical Storm Zeta that's likely turning into a hurricane, and they're saying it could affect parts of the Panhandle.
Boy, it seems like we should be done with that. It's October, the end of October, right? Doug.
Well, and technically hurricane season goes from June till November.
Wow.
And so while it's rare and the peak of hurricane season we normally see is normally September is kind of most active. We can see storms in October, and we're clearly seeing that now. So, again, it all goes to the fact that we live in an area where there's a lot of activity with regards to storms, and all of those storms ultimately add up. I mean, there's literally been billions of dollars that have paid out this year alone with regards to hurricanes, and our recommendation to our listening audience out there is you got to be on top of it. You got to stay informed. You've got to keep an eye on your carrier and shop, right? Buyer beware. It's a great example of that. So our agency, Strategic Insurance, you can go to our website, which is very easy to remember. It's tampabayinsurance.com. You can even text right through our website with us. We're always happy to give you a protection review. We represent over 18 companies, and our goal is to find you best rates and coverage, not just this year, but each year and moving forward.
So it's something that annually you might want to peek at because the numbers change that frequently.
Exactly. And I issued a white paper earlier in this year for our clients and friends of the agency, and what I was basically saying is rates are going up. I mean, we're seeing rate increases anywhere 10 to 30%. That is not uncommon. So it's more important than ever before to not just let that renewal ride out. A lot of people, frankly, what they do is they may set their homeowners up at initial purchase and give it really little thought or attention. And maybe they get their renewal in the mail and give it a quick glance. And unless you're really on top of it, you're likely overpaying.
Right.
And so it really is a great opportunity. And we, as an independent agent, which is what we are, James, and I think that's really important for the listeners to understand and know, I'm not biased by any one carrier. My goal is really to work for the end user consumer and try and find best rates and coverages. So I've got over 18 companies, and they're all good carriers. My goal is really to find you the best rates.
Yeah,
and we
let
have
Doug
a team
shop.
and a system in place to do that. Exactly. And so, there's routinely times where we may switch from, and I'm not going to mention carriers by name, but maybe carrier A to carrier B and get a client $700 to $1,000 savings just because the other carrier maybe has a better rate filing at the current time.
Doug,
and we don't know what that will.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Again?
I think a lot of homeowners out there are fear of the review because they think it's going to cost them more money. They're going to find out they're underinsured, where you're recommending it because you may actually find a savings for these folks.
Absolutely. And absolutely. Look, and we always look what's in the best interest of the client. It doesn't make sense to switch, whether they're an existing client of ours that we're looking to potentially switch from one carrier to another, or if they're just, a prospective, what I call a future client who calls the agency or finds us however they do. We're always going to look at what's in their best interest. We're also going to shoot straight, though. I mean, if they are underinsured, we'll let them know that, and we'll back it up with, the reports and analysis to show them a replacement cost estimate on their home. That's another really important takeaway. Something we've spoken about several times on the show is that you really want to understand at the end of the day, okay, if the big one comes, Hurricane James comes,
right,
and there's a major storm here in Tampa Bay, how much coverage do I have on my home? And again, I bet if you ask most listeners, most of them don't know or have maybe a very rough idea, but that's an important number to know.
Boy,
and you really want to understand that.
Again, because I'm not an insurance professional and I haven't worked with Doug myself, when I think about insurance or being underinsured, the idea of replacement cost is just now sinking in on me that, hey, this whole concept of insurance is about replacement cost. How can you forecast what it's going to take to replace your home, especially when material costs are constantly changing?
Great question. So we recommend and try and review replacement costs with our clients at least every 2 years.
Okay.
At the end of the day, we work with all these various insurance companies. Every one of them has a software tool in their system that allows us to run a replacement cost estimate. And James, these are typically done by engineering firms. It's not the actual insurance company that does these estimates. They're done by very, very big companies like MSP, Marshall, Swift & Beck, CoreLogic, or Value 360, where you're inputting square footage, year built, construction of home, any other important features, and it spits out a number. I will just tell people, as again, a very rough rule, anything less than probably $100 a square foot, you're underinsured. It's pretty darn hard to rebuild a home in Tampa Bay for less than $100 a square foot.
And that's the unique part. You're trying to make it specific to our market. Exactly.
And these engineering firms, they update it quarterly, and they do it by zip code. So the data that we have is very accurate. And I will tell you this, in working with contractors over the years as well, I feel, and again, not just saying this, but I believe that the overall estimates are fairly accurate, right? And there's kind of that just ditches on both sides of the road with the replacement cost, but for the listeners to know and say, hey, if I'm underinsured, I could really be left holding the bag.
Right.
And again, that number of, like I said, maybe 100 to 125 at a minimum per square foot rebuild is a super important number to know, So keeping it very simple, if I've got a 2,000 square foot house and I'm insured less than 200,000, that would be $100 a square foot.
Right.
I'm probably in some trouble. And on your end, you're saying, well, how are you keeping up? And, cost, labor, and all that.
That's right.
The reality is, in the event of a storm, things can go up very quickly. So we don't recommend over-insuring. Hear me there. There's no sense vastly over-insuring, but giving yourself a little bit of a cushion, maybe an extra $15,000 to $25,000 in coverage over, is probably not a bad idea because it's not going to cost you a ton of money. And in the event that there is that big claim and we see a rush for labor and contracting and materials and all that, which we've seen before. I mean, we've absolutely seen that before in 04, 05 during those storms. I know a lot of our listeners probably remember Charlie and Francis and all that
That's
we
right.
had that craziness about 15 years ago. That happens. It's purely a supply and demand issue. So again, it all goes back to, working with a professional like our agency and really seeking that info, because you're talking about protecting your biggest asset.
That's right.
Most people, whether you're, really regardless of income levels, most people, their home is their largest asset.
Absolutely is. He's Doug Levi, Strategic Insurance. Doug, if folks out there are listening and they want that review, what's the best way for them to get to you?
Yeah, love it. So I really think our website's the best way. So they can go to tampabayinsurance.com. We have a neat little program called the Lead Pro on there where they can literally click a button and start texting with us right through our website, and or click a button for us to call them. So, we're all about technology and convenience and trying to make life easy. So people can go to tampabayinsurance.com and start chatting right away with us there, and we're happy to help.
And he's Doug Levi, Strategic Insurance. He's the expert here in our insurance field here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I want to thank him for coming on, and like he does every couple of weeks, and gives us the great info, the latest on insurance. Folks, it's not something you want to think about. It's something you better think about. You better get a check, and you better find out if you're in a good position. All right. That was Doug Levi. I want to thank Doug again. We got William Crowley coming up right after this break. He's the credit magician, another longtime friend of the program, always giving great advice. And just like Doug, he's trying to work all the best deals for you. He's not shopping a particular product. He's not offering to sell you a product. He's giving you knowledge. And that's the most important thing about our show. Stay with us. Come on back and check out our partners. This is the Consumer Quarterback Show.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. For more information, go to consumerqb.com.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
My friends, when choosing a listing agent to sell your home, their track record is critically important. Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of Platinum MVP Team at Keller Williams Real Estate. They're consistently rated by the MLS in the top 1% of all Tampa Bay realtors, and that's a big deal. Brandon and Lindsay are always among the top realtors in the state. Call them today at 813-750-0550.
Find them at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Selling commercial or residential property? Don't leave money on the table. List with the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rhymes. Reach me at 813-670-7372 or platinummvpteam.com.
My name is James DeJerome, and I produce the Consumer Quarterback Show for Brandon Rhymes. The Consumer Quarterback Show is a team, a group of like-minded professionals who partner together to provide our audience sound advice, knowledge, and information to make them wiser consumers. We work with all types of business owners and aggressively promote our local economy. We're currently conducting interviews for our expert contributors. If you own a business or know someone who would benefit from the exposure our show provides, please contact us at 813-750-0550 or online at consumerqb.com.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
That's right. ConsumerQB.com is where you can find all the partners for the Consumer Quarterback Show. ConsumerQB.com is also a place you can find some of the Keller Williams information. Of course, Brandon owns the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. He's done a great job bringing this show to you because he wanted to extend his network a little bit to all the folks in the Bay to help them get the knowledge around home purchase. And now it includes everything from legal advice, health and beauty. We're working with William Crowley, the credit magician, is going to be coming on here in just a minute. If you're listening to our show on AM 860 every weekday at 4 p.m., check us out online. We do live stream. Every day we stream live to YouTube, Facebook, Periscope. It's just another way for you to enjoy the program, just the way Brandon has put the program out there for smart TV owners. So if you're a smart TV owner, you have a Roku TV, Apple TV, search in Binge Networks, and you can find the Consumer Quarterback Show, Binge Networks TV /Consumer Quarterback Show, and you can watch the show on your smart TV. And, of course, we're available weekdays on the radio, and, again, Sundays we have the radio show on Sunday as well. So Brandon has done his best to put the show out there as much as he can. He's trying to get our message out there, and he's got great sponsors. Our sponsors are a big part of the show. Discovery Golf Cars is a big sponsor for us. Discovery Golf Cars is a new sponsor to the program. Brandon got one for business. He's out there making sales and doing things in his golf cart. They put a wrap on it, customize it for you. The thing about Discovery Golf Cars is they're for business and recreation. Everyone's getting a golf cart these days. Lots of makes and models. They have Easy Go, Star EV, Cushman. They rent or buy them, and they even provide financing and mobile repair. So Tampa, Clearwater locations, or you can check them out online at discoverygolfcars.com. Another great sponsor for the Consumer Quarterback Show. And as always, we go through some properties on the Consumer Quarterback Show because Brandon is a realtor with the Platinum MVP team. We've got a couple of properties Johnny's going to throw up for me right now. 3405 Gray Whetstone Street. This is in Brandon, 2,160 square feet. It's a 4-2 with a 2-car garage on a cul-de-sac. Boy, it's got that really updated look, all white interior, white kitchen cabinets, just like About Face. Chris Robinson always tells us that's the new look for cabinetry. So 3405 Gray Whetstone in Brandon. Give Brandon a call at the Platinum MVP team. He's got another one for you at 5510 South Elkins Ave. This is a chance for you to build your own home on a lot. It's a Ballast Point community, 12 minutes from downtown. 4 minutes to the yacht club. It's not going to last long. 5510 South Elkins Ave in Tampa. Chance for you to build your own place. He's got a lot for you. So Brandon has commercial, residential, real estate, and homes available. The Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Give him a call for all your real estate needs. So Brandon built the show, like I said, extending his network. One of the guys who's been with Brandon and the Consumer Quarterback Show before I got here is William Crowley. William does a great job for us explaining credit and some of the credit issues, but most folks out there are just not educated on the laws. There are laws designed to protect you and your credit, and William's going to tell you a little bit about that. Hey, William, you out there?
Hey, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, I'm sure I'm here.
Tell us all about how folks don't realize their laws are in place to protect them as consumers.
Right, great. Good to be back on the show. And I was looking at this article about a month ago. I think it was this gentleman in Carrollwood who had an incident with the collectors. And most people, what I find is that when it, they don't study enough, and it's not a lot of studying to do, but the Fair Credit Reporting Act and the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act are consumer laws that help us as consumers get over some of the pitfalls that we ourselves pretty much create.
Right.
9 times out of 10, it's the consumer that's created this onslaught, but then we act like, we're totally blindsided when something happens. Mm-hmm. And I want to say that we're not playing victim here. We want people to become proactive, and it takes about 10 or 15 minutes to look over the Fair Credit Reporting Act and the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, and the acronyms are FCRA and FDCPA, found at federaltradecommission.gov, FTC.gov. And so the gentleman in Carrollwood, the collectors came, I think, within 20 years of an old account that was a judgment, and that they did owe. So right. Most of the time, our clients have done or committed these financial crimes, I would say.
Okay.
But there is a way out. So the gentleman waited, and then they showed up at his door and wanted to take his truck in lieu of the debt that had been put on his credit as a judgment. And I tell people, if you had been proactive, you could have, instead of waited and make it, where it's going to become much more expensive, become proactive. And sometimes you can have the debt totally eradicated or lessened from the amount that was displayed on the credit report or that you had with the original creditor. Now, in the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, as with the Fair Credit Reporting Act, it shows you how to remove the information from the credit report legally remove the information from the credit report, and then legally challenge the so-called collector that's coming after you for the debt. If the original creditor is pursuing you for a debt, I encourage people, pay the debt. Okay? Pay them on time and keep your credit up to par.
Right.
Things happen. So therefore, when things happen, you can resort to the laws. But I'm not trying to create what you will call an atmosphere of financial irresponsibility.
That's
we want
right.
people to be financially responsible, but we know things happen. So when things do happen, we can look at these consumer laws and find out what leverage do I have, what legal out do I have in this endeavor. And most of the time, there is a legal out, and it's definitely advantageous for the consumer. So, for instance, you can have the negative information that does in fact belong to you, uplifted off you, removed from your credit report legally because the credit reporting agencies are violating the laws of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Most consumers aren't familiar with the laws of the Fair Credit Reporting Act, so therefore they find themselves, blindsided or something of that nature when things happen, when in reality, if you had just looked at it for 15, 20 minutes prior to, the event, then you could have prevented a lot of the
well, like you said,
harsh
William,
activity.
it's common for folks to just hide from this or run from it or pretend that if they don't, out of sight, out of mind, I don't, I'll deal with that later. But you're saying that proactivity is the key. You've got to get involved with this thing, and that way you can mitigate this.
Exactly. And so that's what we want people to start to do. And on my website, which is raiseourscore.com, it gives all this information in much more detail than what I just explained. I know I don't have
Absolutely.
a lot of time to go over everything, but my website, raiseourscore.com, will definitely give you all the information you need or tell you where to go to get the information. The credit world is a very simple world out there, and it's friendly. It's consumer friendly. It's just that we as consumers, we set things on the back burner, let them, pile up, and then it becomes like we've made a mountain out of a
That's
molehill.
right.
And we could, and it's definitely harder to tackle a mountain than a molehill.
Once you go through that story you shared with us about the gentleman in Carrollwood, 20 years went by,
20 years. Yeah, and it may not have been 20 years, but a judgment can pursue you for up to 20 years. I don't think the article indicated the amount of years he had waited, but it was a substantial amount of years that he had waited. He thought that, it's out of sight, out of mind.
That's right.
They haven't called me. I have nothing, so I just won't worry about it. But what we try to do is become proactive and deal with this. We would have kept that debt from even becoming a judgment.
Mm-hmm.
So by using the loopholes in the Fair Credit Reporting Act and the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, because you don't want to ignore these lenders or creditors or even collectors when they contact you. Answer the phone. Talk to these people and let them know your situation and let them know that you know your rights. You have rights, and if you don't know your rights, tell them I'm going to find out my rights and I'll get back with you. But don't just ignore these people.
That's right, because even in the case of a legitimate debt, there are still laws and regulations on your side to make sure the process is fair and equitable.
Exactly. And most people just aren't aware of that. And the reason why is because they haven't looked at the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act or the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Look at my website, raiseourscore.com, and you can get all this information.
That's right. William Crowley is the credit magician. He comes on the show all the time because, of course, we have Diane Vance from Fairway Independent Mortgage, and she's constantly trying to get folks qualified. And they come in and say, well, my credit's a mess. There's just nothing I can do about it. And William says, well, let's break it. Let's really look at it and understand what's on your credit and what's legitimate and what's not legitimate. And let's take some steps and be proactive, educating folks about what they can do to make sure that their debt is legitimate.
Right. And even if a mark can't be removed from your credit report, the consumer still has the right to put a 100-word or less statement in there explaining the circumstances around that incident. And a lot of times those statements are legitimate, and the lender has to consider them if they're put on the credit report. Most people don't know that they can put a 100-word statement on the credit report explaining the circumstances around it.
Excellent. Okay, so there's more knowledge. I didn't know that either. Every time you come on, I learn a little something else. When folks go to your website and they want to investigate, you've taken the time to kind of explain to me over the times that you've been on the program how these laws and regulations work. Are there ever new laws and regulations that you have to educate us about, William, that there's tweaks and changes coming down the line?
Well, the main thing is that if you familiarize yourself with that Fair Credit Reporting Act, there's only very mild changes to the Fair Credit Reporting Act that was created in 1970 and the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act in 1976, I believe.
Okay.
So if you familiarize yourself with those laws, you'll be okay.
Excellent. So William Crowley, the credit magician. William, you said about raise your score. Any other way? Give your phone number. Other way folks can get in touch with you?
Yeah. Oh, well, they usually call into the hotline there.
Okay.
So our number there, the number that you give, and then they contact me through that.
Excellent. William offers a credit package as well. He's been a long time friend of the program, involved in lots of real estate deals that go through Brandon and Diane here with Fairway. William, we got about 30 seconds. Anything you want to mention to the folks out there?
I can give my number, but they can call the show as well. It's 727-798-3092. And I'm William Crowley, the credit man. My phone number has been the same since 1998.
That's right. Always providing good information for us. Thanks so much for joining us today, William. All right, coming up on the show, we got attorney Richard Alexander right here in our Salem Media Group studios, in addition to a feel-good story about a letter received from a stranger to a cancer patient. I want to tell you all about it because it's definitely a feel-good story. Don't go anywhere, and you can always find all our partners at consumerqb.com.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
his leg from not moving around at all. So he's dealing with that, but otherwise he feels better. Jose, I've got Richard Alexander in here, and I don't know if you turned his mic off, but we'll do a mic check if you want.
Yep, if he's ready to do it now.
Okay. When you're ready, Richard, give him a little mic check.
Mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Can you hear me? Yes?
Yep. One more time.
One more time if you could, Richard.
Mic check. 1, 2. A, B, C, D.
And now you, James.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Wait,
host
I'm
mic,
happy.
host mic. Feel good, Johnny? Johnny needs a second.
Alrighty, everybody stand by, please.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
That's right. You can find Brandon and all the partners on the Consumer Quarterback Show at consumerqb.com. You can also find some listings. Brandon, again, owns the Platinum MVP team. He's a Keller Williams agent, and he's got properties for you even in this time of real estate scarcity. I want to mention some of our sponsors. The sponsor for this particular segment is the Bilmar Beach Resort. What a different hotel. You know, you've been to a Hilton, a Radisson, all the chain hotels. That's not what the Bilmar Beach Resort's all about. It's a unique hotel right on the beach. It's got about 80% of its room face the water. Clyde does a great job. He's the GM from the Bilmar Beach Resort. Comes on our show all the time. Tells us about all the things going on. You know, Sloppy Joe's, the restaurant down there, serves breakfast 7 days a week. They've got a beautiful beach. As I said, most of the rooms look out over that beach. If you're going to try to make it down there for a swim, Clyde recommends getting 2 beers because you got a good walk. It's a very wide beach. You're going to need 2 drinks to make it all the way down to the water. So don't forget about that. If you have to book directly with Clyde, rather. Don't book online because you're going to get the best deal directly from calling Clyde right at the Bilmar Beach Resort. You can check them out online at bilmarbeachresort.com. Okay, the sponsor for that segment is the Bilmar Beach Resort, but we also have properties for you from the Platinum MVP team. Johnny's going to throw one up for me. 6128 Oak Ridge Avenue in Newport Richey. This is a full acre. It's a 4-4 waterfront home with bay access. Man, that's a big lot right on the water. Sharp-looking property at 6128 Oak Ridge Ave in Newport Richey. Again, it's a full acre, updated interior, got that new floor, new ceiling in the kitchen. Really sharp at 6128 Oak Ridge Ave. Give Brandon a call at the Platinum MVP team if you have any real estate inquiries. He's got property for you. Here's another one, 8001 U.S. Highway 301 South in Riverview. This is a commercial real estate opportunity for you. He's got 2 commercial buildings, about 4,180 square feet. 33 parking spaces right on a busy corner lot with a traffic light right there. So residential and commercial real estate opportunities. The Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. Give Brandon a call, and he's got all your real estate needs here in the Bay Area. All right, so going into the break, I teased Richard Alexander. He's a local attorney, comes on the show all the time. We've had great stories recently from incarcerated folks that were then vindicated and released. We've got some upcoming initiatives on the ballot as we're approaching voting day here in Florida. I wanted to bring Richard on and get his opinions on what's going on. What have you seen, Richard?
As far as the amendment's concerned?
Yeah.
By the way, thanks for inviting me.
Always a pleasure.
How you doing, James? Yeah, as far as the ballots or...
Yeah, I just didn't know if you had any specific legislation that is new or coming on that people need to maybe consider or think about.
Well, I was here one of the times we talked about the new laws that were going to go into effect.
Mm-hmm.
And, the ballots, I'm always concerned about the ballots because a lot of times they were written in lawyers' speak.
Right.
And a lot of times you have to dissect it to understand exactly what it's saying.
I think it's the double negative. If you don't wish to vote for this to be undone, and then you're sitting there trying to read it over and over again saying, what did I just do here?
Well, one of the things they used to do, which was pretty sneaky, is they put two subjects in one particular ballot so that you liked one of the initiatives, but you didn't like the other one, so you ended up voting however, and they both got passed.
Yeah.
So that was pretty sneaky, but the Florida Supreme Court ruled that you can't do that.
Yeah, well, again, that
one subject.
That negative language, I've seen many folks think they voted for what they support, and they voted for the direct opposite because of a not or a no or a negative in that statement.
I completely agree with you. A comma can change everything, where the sentence ends. No, I completely agree with you. And that's not done accidentally, by the way.
Right.
There's no way. Nobody will ever convince me, we didn't know that when we did that, really.
It could be so simple, there's no reason to make it that convoluted.
No, of course not. One of my favorites is when Congress says, members of Congress, the Senate, whomever, hey, elect us, we'll fix what's wrong. You mean what you did? You passed the law 10 years ago, so you want to fix what you did wrong.
Right.
Okay, that's fine.
And another one is right 2 weeks before my term or my election comes up. Hey, I've got that. What we talked about, it's on the way.
That's right, yeah.
That's a big one.
I'm going to take care of that, yeah. I know I should have taken care of it before, but I'm going to take care of it now. I really mean it this time, yeah.
So I know you started teaching again. You had your classes come in person. Is that correct? Back in the classroom?
I'm back on campus over at Everglades, which is awesome for me because I think there's no substitute for that intimacy, that student, teacher relationship where it's in class. You see the light bulb go off. The question is asked immediately. The answer comes immediately. So there's no substitute for that, in my opinion.
How have the kids felt? I mean, have you seen a difference in attendance in terms of Zoom?
Yes.
They're there, but are they there?
No, that's the one thing that does bother me.
Right.
All the sessions have to be recorded per policy at the university, but I know if someone's online, and obviously I know if the students are in class. But yeah, they're not going by online.
Right.
They're just not. I think they're just deciding I'll do whatever I can to pass the class.
We talk all the time about how crazy this year's been and COVID-19's impact on many businesses and the way business is done. I think the Zoom thing, people saw a million opportunities. Hey, we can do this on Zoom. And then the subtle problems that arise when you're using Zoom as the only method of communication. So we're learning as we go. I just think we're going to start refining this and figuring out ways to do this better.
No, that's an excellent point. I think, one of the little issues is that if you give someone the opportunity to Zoom, and it's very convenient. I've seen FHP. I don't know why they're notorious for this, but they will be on Zoom while they're literally driving the patrol vehicle, so you can see the highway go by them while they're testifying. I'm like, oh my God, this is what we've come to, But I think it's here to stay.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it stay for certain parameters, and but I think it's about time.
Hey, Richard, just as an aside, don't a lot of places do first appearance through video? In other words, you just
yes.
So the judge sees them through video initially. So I wonder when that was initially introduced, if people said, well, that's not fair. You're not face-to-face. You don't get a chance to go before all these incremental steps we've taken, it seems like they fight them along the way and then they get accepted.
Well, first of all, let's talk about the burden on the sheriff's office to get everybody in court that's just been recently arrested.
So you're talking
about that would be insane.
You're talking about who they have to make it at the same time in the same place. You're talking about witnesses and victims.
No, just the person arrested. Within 24 hours, you have to be brought before a judicial magistrate, and 3 things have to happen: can you afford an attorney, what your bond is, and what you've been charged with.
Okay.
But nothing says it has to be face to face. But you do have to be brought before a judicial officer, and those are running every day. Right. 365 days a year, those are run every day. The judges get assigned, to do first appearance duty, state attorneys, and the public defender's office.
Do you recall a time before we had video in place and it was not done over video?
No, as far
I can't.
I've been practicing 23 years,
Yeah.
so that's not really that long.
Right.
But no, it's been done by video as far as I can remember.
And no, see, that's the only reason I bring that up is because, again, I would see a legal argument perhaps in the future that, hey, this whole Zoom thing really didn't afford my client and myself the opportunity to get in front of the judge and do what we need to do and defend him with all the vigor that we really want to.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because the Florida Supreme Court, back when COVID was, really hit the court systems hard, they told speedy trials. So speedy trial wasn't running anymore because of COVID, because you didn't have you had a right to trial, but because speedy trial was told or stopped, then you didn't have to be brought to a jury within a certain amount of time. For felonies, it's 175 days. For misdemeanors, it's 90 days. But that was stopped.
Now, that was temporary.
Well, it's still ongoing right now. Some courts are starting to get back into juries. Hillsborough County, I know, they've started doing juries again. But even then, it's horribly limited.
Yeah.
Because you just can't have all those people together.
I was going to say, when you
jury
go through
selection's a madhouse.
When you go through the jury process here in Tampa, and I've done it, and I'm sure a lot of folks out there have done it, you're pooled in a gigantic group of population
Massive
of people,
group,
and you
yeah.
sit there for a while. It could be all day.
Yep.
And as you get pulled out of there, it's certainly not ideal given the situation we're in now with the spacing and the social distancing and all that.
No, and of those hundreds and hundreds of people that showed up, you have to take like 24 of them, and they have to go to a courtroom that could possibly be doing a jury that day. And then you have to voir dire, ask them questions, and then the people that don't get picked go back into the pool.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a breeding ground, really.
Yeah.
It's a petri dish.
Yeah, it's difficult. We've talked about some of the other institutions, jails, prisons. What do you do in that situation? You got to if the virus gets in. There's just spots in our, we got some weak spots, some blind spots, and then we're working through. Like I said, over time, I think we'll see technology try to help in some ways. But man, this has been challenging in so many ways.
Look, how there hasn't been more of a outbreak in the jails is a testament to the local sheriffs that run the jails, because, you talk about a breeding ground.
Right.
And that it hasn't been worse. I know there have been spots, but that should be 10 times worse in my opinion, because they're literally on top of each other.
Yeah, I heard all kinds of stories about folks just not having a way to separate. You just can't separate everybody like you need to.
Yeah, you can't be there 24 hours a day, 7 days. It's not possible. Yeah. You can't be done.
We talked in the past challenges too, things like movie theaters and airlines, and as we move forward and we're trying to figure out new normals and ways to do things, I haven't seen much creativity on the movie theater front, but the airlines are really working hard to try to figure out ways to get these passengers back in the planes. Have you seen anything novel or any legal matters arise from a passenger on a plane that felt like they weren't given enough of a chance to be their safety wasn't paramount?
Well, those are great videos that are being posted. I don't know if you've seen them on YouTube or Facebook, where people just lose their mind because they don't want to wear a face mask.
Yeah.
Or they have it on and they take it off, or while they're eating meals. I don't know what the answer is, man. I really don't. And this may be with us for quite a while.
Yeah.
This new norm, as I keep saying. But the cruise ship industry, which has devastated South Florida.
Yep.
The movie theater industry, AMC has already said we got like 6 months of money and then we're bankrupt.
Right.
So Regal's already closed down all their theaters. I don't know what the answer is, man. I just know that live entertainment, they need to do something quick.
Boy, hospitality in general, you talk about Disney with all the resources that a company like Disney would have, and they're trying to figure out ways to do this at certain peak times to regulate traffic and distance. It's just been an incredible challenge for everybody out there. Okay, so we bring Richard Alexander on the show all the time. He has great information on a variety of topics for you. When we come back, we're going to talk more about our Bay Area economy like we always do. We're going to talk about some properties. I got a feel-good story for you I want to share with you about a lady who received a letter from an anonymous stranger. It goes right along with our act of kindness, just the way Brandon set it up many years ago when he built the show. So don't go anywhere. The Consumer Quarterback Show rolls on.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show. And I say, Brandon Rhymes, knock out your competition.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
This is Diane Vance with Fairway Independent Mortgage, a member of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Please give me a call for any of your mortgage needs. We do all sorts of loans. If you would like information on a mortgage, you can text me or call me at 727-647-8199. I will take care of all your mortgage needs. Go to my website at dianevance.com.
Ian Beckles here with my man Brandon Rhymes, a.k.a. the real estate quarterback. Brandon, what's happening with the market?
Thanks, Ian. We are in a low inventory market, so any of our listeners are homeowners and would like a free comparable market analysis or a 2.5% listing, we will honor this for the first 3 listeners who call or text in 813-773-1253. Free CMA and a 2.5% real estate listing at 813-773-1253. Check out consumerqb.com. Selling commercial or residential property? Don't leave money on the table. List with the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rhymes. Reach me at 813-670-7372 or platinummvpteam.com.
You're listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
That's right, consumerqb.com, the home for all the partners on the Consumer Quarterback Show, in addition to some of the properties that the Platinum MVP team owned by Brandon has for you available, even in this time of real estate scarcity. Of course, Brandon set up the show years ago. He wanted to extend his network a little bit. He was involved with all these great business leaders and professionals every day, taking care of all the home services and all the needs he had for real estate. He kind of brought that onto the air and decided to share that with the consumers in the Bay Area. So we built the show about 7 years ago with a great team of partners that's grown over the time. And again, we've added sponsors as well. One of the sponsors that's been with us for a while is Brothers Easy Moving. And just like some of the other folks I talk about, the partners on the show, Brothers Easy Moving got to know Brandon by working together. So Brandon needed to move. Brothers Easy Moving moved Brandon himself. I got involved in the move. I saw how hard these guys were working. Next thing you know, they became the official moving partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. They're involved in all the real estate transactions that Brandon needs. Sometimes you get a house, it's got to be moved fast. People have to move in a hurry. There's deadlines. Brothers Easy Moving understands whether you're going local or long distance. They're a great company. They've proven their worth to us on the show. They're official moving partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Get in touch with Brothers Easy Moving for all your moving needs. And, of course, we've got properties for you. Even in this time of real estate scarcity, Brandon and the Platinum MVP team have one for you. 520 George Street South is in Tarpon Springs. 3,620 square feet. It's a 4-3. It's got a second-floor private master suite. It's right on the lake. Really cool wood-burning fireplace, new kitchen. Everything's been updated. 520 George Street South in Tarpon Springs. The Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams offering you that great property right on the lakefront. Man, that's a sharp-looking property. All right, part of what we do here on the Consumer Quarterback Show is try to bring some positivity to your day. Brandon decided that the feel-good story was going to be the anchor of the show, something that he wanted to make sure was a basis of the program. And I want to support his concept there by telling you a story today. So one of the best things that's ever happened to me, this woman said, she was battling cancer and received a letter from a complete stranger. This act of kindness from a stranger gave her hope, she said, after she may only have a year to live. Kim Whipple, diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer in July of 2019, last week was sitting on her front porch in Arizona. A stranger walked up and handed her a letter. She said she's holding on to it. She says, I want to give you this. And the letter reads, I don't know you and I don't know you at all. You don't know me, but I was walking my dog. I noticed you're sitting in a chair and you looked like you weren't feeling well. I looked at the truck and I saw that there was a cancer written on the side of it. So I knew that you were receiving cancer treatment. My brother passed away from cancer. He was my hero. So when I see someone who might have it in their heart, that you're a family that I saw sitting in there, and I will keep you in my prayers. I want to make sure that all sick people know that you can beat this disease. She gave her, in addition to the letter, she said that she wants to make her day brighter. Inside the letter was $60. So Whipple told Fox 10 she was given a year to live. She went to a doctor in July of 2019. They said she now has hope that she may end up getting into remission. And that stranger's act of kindness, just another positive boost. She said, one of the best things that's happened to me in a long time. So when folks are battling something or they're struggling, your kind words doesn't necessarily have to be a huge financial donation. It doesn't have to be anything more than just you showing support for somebody. And I want to encourage everybody out there listening to the show or checking us out online, and just do your best to give somebody some positivity. It'll go further for you as well as them. Okay, Richard Alexander's here in studio. We talked a little bit about all the things coming up on the ballot and different things. I want to make sure everyone gets out to vote. You know, here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, we want to make sure that everyone votes. Richard, anything you advice-wise for folks out there looking to vote, or anything that you noticed about this election coming up that maybe keep in mind?
Well, the one thing I always tell everybody is get a sample ballot.
Yeah.
And go through it and see what you're going to pick before you go into the voting booths. We were just talking during the break where the great thing about voting right now is you can vote out of your precinct.
So, of course, everyone has been assigned a specific designated voting place on polling day.
Based on your address, correct.
Right. But in this pre-period, anywhere you want.
I mean, it's awesome, man. Think about that. You're not tied to any one particular place that you have to go to. If you hate going there, or like you just said before, if I'm going home and I see a precinct that I can go, I can literally stop my car and go vote there.
So you can avoid some of those peak times and long lines, and certainly we're giving you the opportunity to get out there and vote. We definitely want you to take advantage of it, make it as easy as possible for everybody.
Yeah, I think if someone says, well, I didn't have time or I didn't get a chance, I'm thinking, well, no, you're telling me you didn't want to vote.
Right.
Because look how easy the state of Florida makes it for you.
Yeah. I want to commend everyone as far as that goes. There's been a lot of rhetoric around voting, but the amount of folks registering and the interest in voting certainly is peaking.
Well, as of right now, I've heard 70 million Americans have cast a vote.
I think we're way ahead of voting. We're outpacing previous elections by quite a bit.
Well, in the 2016, I believe there were 60, close to about 115 million people voted, cast a vote, because I think it was Clinton 59 million and Donald Trump like 54 million, something like that.
But in this pre-election, what do they call this 2 weeks leading up to it? It seems like the amount of mail-in and pre-election day voting is far and above what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, and I think COVID has something to do with that. Yeah. Certainly a lot of people they get the idea that I don't want to be around people right now, especially strangers I don't know. So I think that has a lot to do with that, sure.
Now, here in Tampa Bay, of course, we have specific jurisdictions. Our local voting occurs not just on election, not November 3rd. Throughout the year, we have different elections for different elected officials. If you could just refresh me a little bit in terms of the court system, what positions are elected and what are appointed in terms of our local
judges,
judiciary?
Of course, unless they're appointed at first, but they have to run in the next upcoming election.
Are they affiliated with a political party?
No, they're not. They don't have the little D or the R at the end of their name. Sheriff's office, of course. Right. The sheriff is an elected official. The state attorney, who's actually up for election in 2020.
What is the term for the state attorney?
It's a 4-year term.
4-year term.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Hillsborough County state attorney is up for re-election. Also, the public defender, believe it or not, is an elected official.
Okay.
So obviously, and you have all the governor and anybody that falls under the cabinet of the governor. Mm-hmm. Actually, one of the elections, one of the amendments, a proposed amendment to the ballot, has to do with, and this is weird, but if no one gets 50% of the vote, they would go to a runoff.
Okay.
What's weird about that is you could have two people from the same party running.
And they split the vote, or
well, think about that, right? If no one gets more than 50%, then the two highest vote getters would go into a runoff. You could have two people from the same party.
I see. And I'm just learning about this as I actually read the legal ease around it. We talked about the Electoral College and the Supreme Court ruling that binds the electorate. Go through that just briefly, Richard, because I was confused about that.
Yeah, basically, the magic number is 270.
Right.
And that's more than the majority, right? Because you have potentially as 540 Electoral College votes. You have to get 270 to win. Mm-hmm. And the way the way that number is decided is by every state has its own Electoral College votes based on the population. Florida has 29, for instance. Mm-hmm. So that also means that we have 27 U.S. House members and 2 senators. 27 and 2 is 29.
Correct.
So that's how many are in up in D.C. But you also have, from a political party, gets to pick their electors. So for the Democratic Party, they have 29 electors, Democratic electors in the state of Florida, and the Republican Party has 29 electors in the state of Florida.
Following you.
So if you have a Green Party, the Green Party is responsible for 29 electors that represent the Green Party. Mm-hmm. If you have the Nazi Party in Florida, they have to pick 29 electors for the state of Florida.
Okay.
So whatever party wins that state's popular vote, then those electors take an oath and pledge all those electors to the person that won that state's popular vote.
Now, if you said there's 29 for each designation.
Correct.
They each individually cast one electoral vote?
Correct.
Okay, so it's 29 separate individuals have been selected.
They're public record. Their names are all public record.
And now, in the past, we had a situation arise where they did not follow the popular vote of the state?
And it has happened. It happened in the 2016 election.
Okay, yes. So what was the recourse? What happened in that situation?
There wasn't any.
Okay, so in that case, the popular vote of that state was not represented by the electors from that state.
Correct. You had some rogue electors that decided, well, I don't care who won the popular vote in my state. For whatever agenda, I'm going to vote for the other person or somebody else.
Right, of their choosing.
Correct.
Now, and what the Supreme Court got involved.
Correct, because, it was at some point somebody said, well, this is not fair. They take an oath and they pledge to do this, so they're violating their oath.
I think it undermines the faith in the election if you think that the popular vote is not important.
Of course it does. I mean, my students were asking me, gee, is it possible that even though the election was decided for Trump, is it possible when they count the Electoral College that he's not getting nominated? I said, in theory, yes, it is, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Right. It certainly, but the curious part of this is it's not spelled out in legal language that is easy to understand for everyone. I think I automatically assumed the popular vote was the Electoral College was going to represent, my state if I had the popular vote.
Well, you're right. That's the way it's supposed to work. You're correct.
And yet, we found a way around it somehow.
By not abiding by their oath, correct.
So they take an oath, and these folks who chose not to provide the vote that they were supposed to, I suppose, was there recourse or punishment or discipline?
No. I mean, I can imagine that the next time they're up, that party will not pick that person to be one of the represented electors.
So that really the real portion of this that hurts is the party itself didn't get represented like they wanted to.
Also correct. Yes, That's right.
Wow, so you can see I don't know much about this. I encourage everyone out there to get involved with somebody like Richard Alexander or take a class and find out civics. It's been a long time for me, I guess.
Wow, actually, you are talking about Civics 101. You're right.
That's what you need to do. All right, great show today. I want to thank Richard for coming in and sharing some information with us. We had Doug Levi, our insurance expert, on, giving us some information about hurricane season. William Crowley talked about how to clean up your credit, and I want to get in touch with William for any of your credit issues if you're trying to buy your house. We encourage you to get out, stop renting, and get into your first home. The Consumer Quarterback Show, again, is all about you. I want to thank Brandon for giving me the opportunity to sit in his chair. I want to send out the healing vibe to him. He's getting better every day. He's going to be back before you know it. Again, check us all out online at consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Contact Brandon Rhymes at 813-670-7372. That's 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for The Consumer Quarterback Show.